We have big news in Tesla land. Version 14.3 of the full self-driving software is out, and we know that this is the version that Elon said this is the last missing piece of the great puzzle of autonomous transport. Well, I think Elon is maybe hyping this a little bit too much, but it is a very important update, and we want to go through this very quickly today. Just what is that update? What makes it so important? And is it a game changer or not? Is the stock now at the precipice of exploding and going to the moon with the rollout of robotaxi on the back of this version? Or is it just another little update and nothing will happen? That is the trillion-dollar question. First of all, what is this update? Here is the official Tesla news from Tuesday. New release of FSD supervised now starting to roll out. The most important thing right at the very beginning, this update brings 20% faster reaction time to further increase safety among many other improvements. That's a very big deal. Say a 20% faster reaction time across the board for a robot on the road that has to not kill people is very important. Now, full release notes, I'm not going through every single thing, but reinforcement learning stage of training, the FSD neural network, resulting in improvements in wide variety of driving scenarios. Well, these are the long-term advantages of FSD, how it's set up. It is self-reinforcing. It learns from its mistakes across the entire network. Upgraded the neural network vision encoder, improving understanding in rare and low visibility scenarios. There were some complaints about rain, some complaints about sun, blinding the whole thing, strengthening 3D geometry understanding and expanding traffic sign understanding. Rewrote the AI compiler and runtime from the ground up with MLIR, resulting in 20% faster reaction time. That's the key. Then we have a bunch of smaller things. Parking location pin prediction, very important for robotaxi. If you're in a shopping mall, you're outside and you're ordering this thing, this is very confusing, these large parking lots. So now we have prediction increase here. Increased decisiveness of parking spot selection and maneuvering, also very important for robotaxi if you want to automate the whole fleet. Enhanced response to emergency vehicles, that's of course very important too, by the way. And you have to read between the lines. You see that there is a strong focus on robotaxi because this here is very unimportant if you are in the car and you're actually driving with FSD. Because, who cares about emergency vehicles, school buses and all that kind of stuff if you are in the vehicle? Because very likely in these situations, you're taking over anyway. If you see some crazy emergency, if you see a school bus, you're probably going to intervene anyway. So why is that so important? It's important if there's no human in the car. Then these things turn from trivial because I'm taking over to extremely important because you can't stand there and be a problem like Waymo. Improved handling of small animals. I have no idea if that's important. Of course, we don't want to kill small animals, so it's good to save their lives. Improved handling for rare and unusual objects as standing, hanging, or leaning into the vehicle path. These are edge cases. Improved handling of temporary system degradations by maintaining control and automatically recovering without driver intervention. Expanding reasoning to all behaviors, blah, blah, blah. So it is a very big update. We have also not seen that many important pieces of an update in a long time. So it's clear that this is a fundamental improvement of FSD. Very important. Now, what does it all mean? Do we have people testing this? Yes, we have the first people actually test driving it. And here, for example, Nick Cruz says, my initial FSD thoughts after some more drives. The biggest thing that stood out to me is the faster reaction time. No surprise. 20% is very significant. It feels like it does things much quicker than before. It finds parking spaces quicker, reacts at traffic lights quicker. All very important for robotaxi. Once you're out in the street, you don't be like Waymo. Park your cars on the middle of the street and hold up traffic. It's definitely more confident in some aspects in parking lots. I tested it by parking about 10 times in busy Costco parking lot. Performed pretty much perfectly every single time. I also found it followed cars with more space. There was one instance in the video below, blah, blah, blah. There isn't any major regression in smoothness overall, which is great. Hopefully that means it can go out wide soon to others. And it is going out wide now. We see it all over the place. Sawyer Merritt. First impressions, highway follow distance is more comfortable. There were complaints it's not keeping the distance. Quicker takeoff from stop signs. Highway lane change hesitation is great. Overall, I'm not noticing huge changes. My first couple of drives, so I need more time with it. Version 14.3 does need some smoothing out, but I expect it with a bigger dot release like this. 14.3 feels like it's setting the stage for something larger to come and that further reasoning capabilities will be added in future FSD updates. Not a completely bullish review by Sawyer Merritt, but he says Feels like an important update, but more is to come. What does it all mean? Some people, I had the discussion with Herbert, for example. Herbert was very bullish on 14.3. I always said, guys, I don't think 14.3 is this game changer. We suddenly roll out robotaxi just because of that. I think it is a very big step forward. It lays the foundations for robotaxi, but I don't think the real holdup for robotaxi rollout was even the previous version, and they're all waiting for 14.3. I think there are many things coming together here that all need to be incrementally improved. I do think my biggest indicator was always cybercab production, and that cybercab production, which has to start in April, is the decisive moment where Tesla has to scale, because otherwise they look like dummies and they wasted a lot of capex. So is this going to happen or not? That is, of course, the decisive question for Q2. That is what we have to look out as Tesla investors. What is the situation? Is cybercab coming? And I can't tell you the answer. I'm just sticking to my prediction so far that Q2 is decisive, that April or May will see some form of inflection point where we see unsupervised cybercabs rolling out. I do not think we reach my number of 1,800. Obviously, we are now at 560 or something in the robotaxi tracker. There is clearly an issue that unsupervised is not rolling out right now. And that is exactly what we have to watch. It's very simple when it comes to Tesla stock. Tesla stock has some buffer built in now that the macro situation is resolved more or less, that the escalation risk in Iran for the entire world and for the markets is kind of reduced dramatically. I said it in a previous video. I think it's now going down from 50% chance of bad escalation to less than 5% with a ceasefire. With that, the markets are ready to rally. Tesla has to rally more because it dropped more, but the other Mag 7 and other stocks will rally. The question whether we see a real repricing of Tesla towards $600, $700, $1,000 a stock, a share, is all a question if robotaxi is real or when it becomes real. And the answer for that is it starts becoming real when we have unsupervised cybercabs or Model Ys, but it's all about cybercab running around, driving around. We need unsupervised to roll out. And at the moment where it starts going, it doesn't matter if it's just 10, and then 20, then 40, then 80. It doesn't matter the basis where it starts because it will go exponential. And the question is therefore, when does it start? And we as investors, we have to track that because the unfortunate reality is we don't know when. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen end of April. It could happen mid of May. It could happen mid of June. It could happen in December. It could happen in 1 year. All we can do is triangulate the evidence we have to the maximum likelihood where it happens. And I said for a year now, I think it's going to be April this year, which is now. And I said we might get delayed a month into May. And I think that is what the market is kind of looking at, the bulls that is happening now. And if it's happening now, I think we will see a major rally of the stock. And when I say major, I say way beyond 500. If it happens. If it doesn't happen, these are the two scenarios. Does unsupervised scaling start with multiple dozens, let's say, to happen in April or May or not? If it does not happen by end of May, I would expect a deflation period coming again for Tesla. Because then, until May, you can say all the people who follow me or other, analysts and investors, you could say, well, we believe Joe has a good point. We believe he triangulated that. So let's, believe in that and see what happens. But if we don't get any unsupervised scaling until end of May, I think deflation is here again for Tesla stock, because then we don't know how long it's going to take. My entire thesis is built around cybercab, but that also has to become true by end of May latest, because you can't delay it more, because scaling is clearly possible now. And clearly Tesla was aiming for that. And maybe a month delay is not a big deal, but beyond a month delay, it means the thesis breaks. The thesis, my thesis, that I think many people also adopted and held, that cybercab is an indicator for scaling, that thesis will break if it does not happen by end of May. That is what I think. And then the fantasy about robotaxi becoming a reality anytime soon will go out of the window. Maybe unjustifiably, because then it might just happen in June, but it doesn't matter. The thesis anchor is April is mass production starting point for cybercab. If it doesn't happen, maybe a month delay, no problem. If it is more than a month delay, no one knows when it actually starts to happen, and therefore we will deflate the stock. That is my thinking. Of course, we should not underestimate the upside risk that it just happens. Because at some point in history, it is going to happen. That is guaranteed. And the odds that the point is now are reasonably high. And if it is the point and it is happening now, we will go to the moon. So that is the situation. I will comment on this more and outline this more strategically. What is the situation with Cybercab Robotaxi on an exact timeline over the next 6 weeks? Because that's what we are talking about. 6 weeks until end of May. What is the situation? What does it mean for the stock? We will follow this very closely because catching these upside moves is all that counts for having good alpha over time. So I hope that was interesting. Go to pioneerlands.org where you see all the latest in the land of AI and the revolution that is happening all around us with companies like Tesla and, of course, other companies like NVDA with the crypto revolution and all kinds of things. Go there, check it out, and see you tomorrow.